The doctor comes in that day and says, we think we could save your right, but your left leg, it looks like you're going to have to get it amputated. And I actually asked the doctor, I was like, you think I could keep it? And it's like, well, dude, if you keep it, you're in a wheelchair or crutches the rest of your... Listen to me, doc. Do you think I could keep it? See what I'm getting at here, guys?
In a jar. Home with me.
Yeah. And you know what he says?
This is gonna hurt. It's time for the Suffering Podcast.
Wow. You didn't hear any bang? No, you didn't...
I went from talking on that headset
to
everything I just described. Like, just like that. And very next thing I heard was my buddy Joe Voda yell, "Get him in a body bag." And I'm like, what the fuck is going on right now? All right. Like, then I just started assessing everything. All right. I can't stand up. I don't have a working weapon on me. Get him in a body bag. We're not under attack because I don't hear gunfire. What the fuck's going on? People are killed. Is it us? Is it them? What's happening? Doc Jones got to me. I was like, Doc, how's everybody doing? They're doing fine. They're doing good. We're going to get you out of here. My lieutenant came over, Lieutenant Naylor. They started working on my wounds. Senior Airman Stone, another Air Force dude, he was calming me down. You know, I got to tell you, Stoney, we call him Stoney. Stoney, he kept to himself. He was reserved with everybody, you know, very, I don't want to say passive, but he was just to himself. That dude, I did not hear him stop talking. And I got to tell you, that's one guy I always wondered where the hell he's at now. Because, like, he was just keeping me calm, making sure I don't go into shock.
I was going to say, was there any pain involved in this? Or
Not
was it just adrenaline and shock? Or
yeah, I'd say adrenaline, a little bit of shock. Like, I just started going. They got me on a litter. My interpreter that I was telling you about, who's still over there, we're trying to get back. Him and an Afghan police officer, they all helped get me on a litter, and they carried me over behind one of the bigger vehicles, the MRAPs, for cover. And when they carried me over, like I said, I'm conscious, I'm coherent. I'm just trying to make sure I don't wig out. They carried me right past 2 body bags. And those body bags, the body armor around it, and it was right next to our vehicle. I knew exactly who the fuck it was. And unfortunately, it was Major Scott Haggerty of Stillwater, Oklahoma, the gentleman who took my vehicle, which is why I'm still here today. And Specialist Derek Holland of Wind Gap, Pennsylvania, he was driving the vehicle that day. And Derek was only 20 years old.
Wow.
He was the youngest in our platoon. Heavy shit. He just turned 20, actually, 2 months prior.
So when did you find out the full extent of the damage? Of the damage on you?
Well, I have to say, before we get there, there was a moment that I always like to talk about. Another person was wounded that day, and it was the Afghan governor who was in the backseat of our vehicle. And the two of us got on a Black Hawk, and with us, that got on that Black Hawk with an Afghan police officer who wasn't wounded. He was there to escort the governor. And when we got to Bagram Air Base, my first visitor ever was this Afghan police officer. And he walks into my room, stands up straight, big smile, and he puts his hand over his heart, and he starts talking, and he doesn't even fucking speak English. But we all know body language. And I say this right now because my unit never went through something like this, but there's situations that we call blue on green where maybe the Afghan police or the Afghan military, we were working with them every day, the same people, individuals, and one just decides to go rogue and start shooting us. So always don't trust them, don't trust these scumbags, this and that. For this gentleman to walk in and greet me and just to see how I'm doing, I don't know who this guy is. But we all know body language, right? That's the way the Afghans greet. That's the way they say hello, smile, and they do that. Man, I got to tell you, that will always fucking stick with me. That moment right there. Because it made me I'm 24 years old at this time of my life. And, don't trust these scumbags. And I'm like, it was a little bit of eye-opener where, I hope this isn't political, but we look at a few bad apples in law enforcement, and all of a sudden society looks at them all as bad.
Yeah, exactly.
How simple-minded can people be? I was looking at the Afghan police as they were all bad because of a few bad apples. What do you think is going on in America right now?
Well, I've said
700,000 cops in the world in America, and
5 of them.
They're blaming us for the 5 bad apples that are out there.
I've said this before on this show. We're all judged by our lowest common denominator, and that is universal. And you're telling me it's universal. Yes, there's some bad Afghani police officers, but there are some good ones too.
Absolutely.
There's some bad soldiers. There's some good ones too.
I always say law enforcement, today's present law enforcement is the Vietnam veteran from 50 years ago. It's one of the charities around. I'll get into it later. It's why we started working with cops and trying to, because like as a disabled veteran, I don't even like to use that word, as a guy who was hurt overseas and serving in the military, there's so many charities out there for us. Like I feel blessed. I really do feel blessed. But we look at law enforcement. We look at our first responders. We look at what happened on 9/11. The whole reason why I feel like, the beginning of the global war on terror, let's be real here, they're first casualties and the first warriors of Iraq and Afghanistan. Now, meanwhile, I feel like everything I have is taken care of. But our first responders, Jon Stewart shouldn't have to go down to Congress and say, why are we not taking care of those that were taking out that pile? Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
I know
exactly where you're coming from.
Yep. And that's why I always feel blessed. I always feel blessed that oh my God, you lost your leg in Afghanistan. Here's $5 in a fucking house. It's wow. It's just I feel very blessed.
Wounded Warrior Project and all that.
There is one place in this local area, and they're one of our gracious sponsors, and I got to throw a shout out to them. So it's Grand Saloon in Clifton. They treat police, first responders, vets. They treat us like gold, and that's 940 Van Houten Avenue in Clifton. Those are the places, and those are the people that surround themselves. That, yes, while there are some bad optics on police, those are the people that make it all worth it, because at least somebody's seeing you.
Right.
At least somebody's seeing it. Mm-hmm. So you're laying up in this hospital bed, and what was the decision? Was the leg? Did it have to go, or was it? We could try to save it. Is that one of those things?
Well, it was. I went under for surgery in Afghanistan, doing surgery on my right hip. The next thing I remember, a nurse is pulling my breathing tube out, and as I calm down, she lets me know that I am in Longstuhl Air Base in Ramstein, Germany. That's
Wait. So you went to sleep in Bagram?
Yep.
And woke up in Germany.
Yeah, exactly. Now, apparently, I was awake before we took that flight over there. But so at this point, my higher command is seeing me in Bagram and seeing how I'm doing. I guess I was up. I was talking to him. Somebody said you were joking. I guess there goes your dancing career, right? And it's like I don't remember any of that shit. But waking up in Germany, the doctor comes in that day and says, "We think we could save your right, but your left leg, it looks like you're going to have to get it amputated." And I actually asked the doctor, I was like, "You think I could keep it?" And it's like, "Well, dude, if you keep it, you're in a wheelchair or crutches the rest of your..." Listen to me, doc. Do you think I could keep it? See what I'm getting here, guys?
In a jar.
Home with me.
Yeah. And you know what he says? No. And I'm like, there's no...
It's mine. What are you talking about?
There's fucking nothing more mine. Like, you know what? When Holyfield got his ear bitten off, I hope he got that shit back, right?
Tyson gave it back to him. Yeah, didn't you see the commercial? Yeah.
But nowadays, he said, what are you going to do with the doc? It's like, well, what you do is we incinerate it. I was like, what a fucking waste of prop that is right there. It's like, you're probably bringing it home to your dog, right, doc? Like, have him chew toy.
Could I have my boot back anyway?
So your speaking engagements, how great would that be? You come in, on the table.
You think you had a bad day? Guess where that one was.
Check this out.
Just somebody starts heckling you in the crowd. You kick them. Have a little fun with it, But it's the way you're approaching this, the way you're even talking about it, and we're just into it, is amazing. Because now after the leg, you found out the leg had to go.
Right.
Was there a little bit of depression, or was it this attitude the whole time?
I gotta say, with confidence. Look, I want you to picture this. If I didn't escort Major Haggerty that day, I would have been killed. Every day I sat in that seat unless I was escorting Major Haggerty. Every fucking day. So, I'm trying to keep, dude, this is not going to fucking let you down. That's what I just dude, this can't fucking let you down. This can't do it. Don't get me wrong. I had my moments. And I think we all do.
We all do.
Yeah, like it wasn't all Bill. At least I'm alive. No, man. Like
Look at me, no leg.
yeah, exactly. But there was moments where I'm like thinking of like the guys overseas. Like I remember like this is the days of MySpace, and I sent my buddies MySpace messages like, "Fuck, man, I wish I was still there." Like I just wish I was there with you guys, because you got to remember my Iraq deployment. It's the people I was with, which makes me want to volunteer. Sometimes in Germany, like I was there for about 3 or 4 days, I believe, and eventually, June of 2008, I finally went back to the States, Walter Reed Army Medical Center, and this is going to be my home for a while. And one by one, I would get visitors, like 3 days in ICU, and they would have to visit me one at a time. Like they would just wait in the hallway, one would come in, one come out. First my mom, then my dad, then so and so, and then there was my brother. And I remember Joe just saying to me at one point, like I should have just gone with you. I'm like, dude, what the fuck? Like, what the like, dude, don't think that, man. And even when I try to humor him about it, I was like, look, man, I gotta tell you, don't think like that. You're just gonna drive yourself crazy, man. Like I'm here, right? It's like in the moment in Afghanistan, I didn't know like when this initially happened. Like Joe, I didn't know what was gonna happen, how things were gonna be, but I'm still here, and I'm even saying to Doc, like, Doc, is everything like? Am I gonna like? Are we gonna be all right? He's like, dude, you're gonna be fine, man. I was like, what, Doc? Are you? Okay, I'm good. I'm good.
One,
That's still
two,
attached.
3. Okay, we're good. Yeah.
But like in that moment, like with Joe, no matter what humor I gave him, it just wasn't gonna happen. And
Which is what you were afraid of if he went on that second deployment.
funny how it works like that, doesn't it?
Well, we've had people in here before that with military experience, and they said like when they went home, they actually almost regretted going home because they felt like they were leaving their troops behind. Right. They felt like they were bailing out on them.
It's something. I don't know what it is with that culture, man, but the things you experience, the stupid downtime, like you said, guys got in trouble.
Yeah, and that's across the board. That's from a World War II vet,
right?
And it's happened in every major conflict. But
we had the sniper in here,
yeah,
and he couldn't go back anymore, and he said he used to cry at night, thinking that he let everybody down.
And I think there's also, I feel like is the shit we were in, the danger sometimes that you put yourself in, because it wasn't every day. Like it wasn't. I'll be real, man. I didn't see a lot of action from both those deployments. Yeah. I'll be real, but I saw enough where I could have cool stories. But
sounds like Joe had what's called survivor guilt.
Right, and he wasn't even there.
Yeah. Well,
right?
that's the part of it.
And I gotta tell you, Joe's personality. He's a lot better soldier than I was. I'm not saying I was bad. He was just very good at what he did. And anybody who served in the 109th in that era who knew Joe and myself, and especially at Alpha Company in Honesdale, you guys out there listening, everybody knew Joe was like just top notch. And I was just, maybe you could say average. I learned a lot about myself and growing, but I mean, I was just, hey, laid back guy. Call me Earl. Like we all know I'm in charge. Call me Earl, dude. Like relax, You don't have to call me Sergeant Granville, but it's just how it was. But I'm going to tell you, my time at Walter Reed, I learned how to walk again. Things were good. Things were great. Like I learned how to snowboard again with a special prosthetic leg. I learned how to play sled hockey for a team called the USA Warriors. Like, what's good? And then I medically retired and got out of the Army. And I got a job in Washington, D.C. as an archaeological lab technician. And on my weekends, I would go home. And a week before Christmas in 2010, I'm getting ready for this black tie event with the girl I'm dating at the time. I get out of the shower. I put my prosthetic and suit pants and a T-shirt on before I get fully dressed. I'm in front of the mirror doing my hair. The phone rings. I let it go to voicemail. I finish doing my hair. I wash my hands. I go grab my phone. I look at the phone, see it's my mom. I listen to the voicemail. And she sounds very distraught on the end. Earl, you need to call me immediately. What's that about? Right? So I give her a buzz back. She picks up the phone. And she says my name so ever somber. Mom, what's up? Like, Earl, I'm so sorry. Mom, what's going on? Earl, Mom, deep breath. Talk to me. What's up? While Joe was on active duty, he took his own life. Worst day of my life, guys.
I'm sure.
How do I get this second chance at life and have Joe take his away? The next day I had to go to Joe's house. There's his wife. There's his kids. There's some of our friends that we served with. There's our friends growing up. Joe was a corrections officer before he went active duty in the National Guard. Each unit has people who are on active duty. And before he was active, he was a CO. Some of his CO buddies were there. And you can imagine the energy in this house. And I'm just like, fuck, man, I don't want to be like this. All right. So, all right, what happens now, guys? Okay, so tomorrow is Monday, the 20th. Is somebody going to be at the armory? I know it's like close to Christmas. Okay, perfect. I took my cousin Paul and my best friend growing up, Dave Rivera, who both served in the Guard as well. We went up to the armory. There's my old readiness NCO, Staff Sergeant Peterson. He gives me a hug and condolences. I take a box from him. There's Joe's desk. I empty out his desk. Task done. Now what? Okay, let's fill out the paperwork for the funeral. Boom, that's done. What's next? I need you. Go work with supply. And it's going to be an open casket, so I want to make sure Joe's in his dress uniform, his military dress uniform, and make sure all his awards are up to date. Make sure that happens. Joe's wife's Catholic. I need you to go work with St. Rose Church in Carbondale to work all the logistics with Steph for that. Okay, boom, get that done. And I need you to come with me to help with my mother pick out a casket at Priest Funeral Home in Carbondale. And I just started delegating all these tasks. I'm not really processing exactly what the fuck is going on. I knew it happened. I know Joe's gone, but I'm just like, all right, let's get all this done. Boom, 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 boom.
You went to supervisor mode.
Yeah, and eventually, day of Joe's funeral, I got in my dress blues. I walked up to that casket. I give him the final salute, and that's that.
But eventually, when everything quiets down, that's when the danger happens.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's you fucking nailed it.
You see this across the board, not only with military. Mm-hmm. You know, when I watch this, and to a much lesser degree, obviously, but I watched this with my grandmother. My grandfather was sick and he was dying, and everybody's focused on him. Everybody's focused. She's focused on him. We're focused on him, and he passes. And then at the funeral, when everything quiets down, I'd look over at my grandmother. My grandmother's really sick. She's really sick to the point where she's probably got only another couple months to live. We get her medical attention, and she lives quite a while longer. But that's what happens. You're hyper focused on one thing, and then when everything's done, you're like, uh-oh.
Forget about the pieces that were around it.
Yep.
Dust settles. Yeah. I have no purpose. I never really thought about what was next after this. I knew I wanted to go back to college. I was working in DC, and like, what the fuck happens now? What do we do now? What happens? Like, there was nothing to live for. I felt like, and it wasn't like, oh, there's nothing to live for. I'm gonna kill myself. No, it wasn't like that. But I didn't know what was next, and my mindset went right back to playing the victim. Or I'm sorry, it went right back to like when I first joined the military. I was making it all about me once again. Like when I said I joined for college when I joined the military. But now I'm making it all about me, but in a whole different realm. And that's just by playing the fucking victim, feeling sorry for myself, thinking the world owes me everything. Let me ask you guys something. Where does playing a victim get you in life?
Yeah, nowhere.
Exactly.
I tried.
Put you in that deep hole.
I tried for quite a while to play the victim, and it did not work out so
Doesn't
well.
get you anywhere.
No.
It's just like having a shovel. You're going to keep digging that hole deeper and deeper. You keep playing a victim, you're just going to get down in that hole, and you're never going to get out of it.
I basically turned into Uncle Rico. You know that guy? Like, my mind is in the past, just my glory days.
I was a great football player.
Maybe Cowboys will get a ring with him. But that's where my mindset went, and I just lived in the past. I was that guy at the bar with my dog tags out. You know what I did for my like? I was that shithead.
Yeah.
I was that shithead. You know, and I have not made friends saying this, like this dysfunctional veteran attitude. I feel like my generation of veterans have. It's fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
Look, man, you got to thrive. All this like trauma is going to happen in your life, but it does not have to define who the fuck you are. And I had to find that out. It wasn't like overnight this shit happened. My mindset got like this. There was a lot of falling down. There was a lot of just self-destruction and just destroying myself.
You're not just going to snap out of it.
Right.
You know, you can't just snap out of it. Mm-hmm. You know, you have to work your way out of it.
Yep.
Well, instead of an elephant in this room, we
We
actually have a Cinderblock in this room, and I'm going to assume that has something to do with your new purpose.
Well, life is purpose. It really is. If you don't have purpose, you're gonna fucking fall apart. What is your legacy gonna be? What do we start with? Right? You know, like, because I truly believe what led me to where I'm at now was the motivation, I feel like, was somebody telling me your brother was just proud of things you were doing. Like, I was very athletic. I was pushing myself when I initially first lost my leg. And it was the people around me too. Walter Reed was just full of men and women like me like this. And I'm seeing people with much more worse injuries than me thriving. And that was like, fuck, this ain't so bad,
Why can't I be like that?
Exactly, and that right there was like a big push. Just people like you become the people you surround yourself with. And who I was surrounding myself with, which is like everybody there at Walter Reed. They were just like, oh, let's do this, let's do that, let's be active. Walter Reed was a great place. And it still is, I still get there for prosthetics. But I lost all that when Joe died. I didn't know what was next. And I got involved in Spartan races, got involved in CrossFit. I joined organizations like Operation Enduring Warrior. This organization right here, I feel like they ended up, I met them at a Spartan race, and their mission is to honor, empower, and motivate wounded and disabled veterans to stay active.
So I want to put up a lower third, Operation Enduring Warrior. We're gonna put some links to those in our show notes as well.
That'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely,
yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, check us out. We're not just military, man. We're recently, something we talked about earlier in the
yeah.
show. We just started working with law enforcement because how society looks at the law enforcement culture. Few bad apples, and society hates all of them. And I like to call it the new Vietnam veteran is how society looks at our law enforcement nowadays. So anyway, I met these individuals, and they helped me get through a Spartan race. And meeting them that day, I met the rest of the team. Each person that's wearing a uniform and they have a little assault pack. They're all current and former military, and they helped me through the Spartan race. And before we took off on that race, they all donned a gas mask. And I was like, you guys are hardcore, man. After the race, they asked me, what do you think about joining us? Well, you don't just join. You have to earn a spot.
You got to get blooded in?
Absolutely. Yeah, you have to go through an indoctrination. And, now it's safe to say I threw my indoc in 2014. Half my class didn't make it. But it was the biggest kick in the ass I needed. It wasn't a bunch of people like, you could do it, or like, let's help you get through this. Like,
it's not the good triers club.
No, it was like,
it
was like, I remember there was during an evolution, I'm struggling, and I went to ask a question to and I like drinking with these guys like weeks before when I went through the Spartan race with them. And I remember Scott Blau just like, I went to go say something, and he said, get the fuck away from me. And I'm like, whoa, all right, fucker. Like, but it's very militarized. Like they said, each person is current or former military who wears that mask. Now also law enforcement. And this filled my life with purpose. Once again, now I have a mission. I'm helping men and women in situations like mine, who's missing a leg, reach their goals of dealing with their disability and not letting their disability define who they are. They're going to find themselves. And we're doing it together as a team, just like in the military. And I realized as human beings, military, law enforcement, I don't give a shit who you are, civilian, you all need 3 Ps in your lives. You must have a purpose. What do you wake up for to do every day? Yep. Also, what is your passion? What do you wake up for yourself? Like an example, physical fitness is a huge passion of mine. It's very important to me, challenging myself physically. And I fucking love dogs. Who doesn't love dogs, right? Part of something bigger than yourself. These organizations I work for. It's the power of what community can do. And that right there, community, is going to go to my 3 recipes. I believe we all need to find those 3 Ps. Attitude. It's like I said before, that dysfunctional veteran attitude, it's going to get you nowhere in life.
I missed the last P, by the way.
Part of something bigger than yourself.
Part of something,
yep.
Okay.
Part of something bigger than yourself. Purpose, passion, part of something. And then there's attitude is the first recipe to find those 3 Ps. Like a good attitude, you're going to need that in your life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like is that dysfunctional veteran bad attitude is going to get you nowhere.
Defeatist attitude.
Right, exactly. Yeah, you're just going to fall apart. It's
Absolutely.
like you've lost before you even started. You think the Eagles, when they're going to win the Super Bowl, you think they're going to go in there with a bad attitude? No, they're going to fucking get in there.
We are, because we're Eagles fans. We all got bad attitudes.
Well, the fans, yeah.
We all got bad attitudes.
It's funny. One of the quotes I heard back in the day is, if you think you can't, you're right. And that's 100%, right?
If you think you can.
think you can't, you're right.
If you think
You'll
you
never
can,
do
you're
it.
right. That's a great quote. Where can our audience find you? Because you got a hell of a story.
Oh, no kidding.
2 more recipes, and I'll tell you that. Attitude, comfort zone. You have to step out of it. And then 3rd, community. Those 3 right there. So purpose, passion, part of something.
That's our group. He just nailed it. Like everything you just said is the things that saved our lives, which is our group therapy. But it's just like-minded individuals searching for all of those points that you just made.
Well, think about who you surround yourself with too. You know what I mean?
Oh, they're fucked up, dude. I don't know if you want to use that.
Well, and it's, then like I said, attitude, comfort zone, community. The rest find those 3 P's. And then I know we talked about this, and I do want to talk about this. What Cindy represents.
Take your time.
Yep. What Cindy represents, because her name is Cindy
Cindy?
the Cinderblock. Yep. Cindy the Cinderblock. Now, two other organizations I work for.
It's not a hole in there, is there?
Warrior Strong and the Oscar Mike Foundation, 2 charities that are very, both help keep health and wellness, keep wounded veterans active. We'll take Cindy out on the course with us, okay? And I'll start off with her at whatever race we're doing, and she gets pretty heavy after a while. But luckily I have a team, a community, to help carry this. So I don't have to carry it by myself. We're carrying it together. It's a reminder for the same of the bullshit we deal up in here. We're going to get in our heads once in a while. But it's sometimes that community carry the weight and give us a kick in the ass to say, dude, you don't have to carry this shit alone. You know what I mean? It's just like that Iraq deployment. I realized the power of what community could do. During COVID, look at when a community came into play to make sure these small businesses don't close. It's not about me. It's not about you. It's about us.
Sometimes you need a smack on the back or a smack in the face. Mm-hmm. Whatever one you need at the time.
Yep. A roundhouse to the fucking jugular.
But did you just tell me that you share Cindy with all your friends?
You little whore.
Yeah.
Look, man, I've been doing this for years, and I have never, ever put that in my head before.
Yeah.
So the next time
Now, guess what?
The next time you hand Cindy off to one of your friends, you're going to be like,
That fucking Kevin.
treat her right.
So, look, dude, community is it. And the people you surround yourself with, too, is what's going to make or break you. You know what I mean?
Earl, we're coming to the end of this thing here, and I try to end the show with, you got such a great attitude. I try to end the show with this same point and this same question. You, my friend, have gone through several different levels of suffering, several different levels of hell. What do you think it's taught you?
What do you think? What?
What do you think it's taught you?
Stop doubting yourself. Stop it.
So we all have inner strength.
Yeah.
Reach in and get that inner strength.
And I think there's moments in your life where you may doubt yourself. I do it sometimes once in a while, but sometimes I just realize, I think of things you've achieved before in the past. Okay? Anybody out there? Think of things you achieved. There may have been a moment where you didn't think you were going to achieve that, but you did at some point. And you're like, fuck, I just did that. I want you to keep that in your mind and in your life all the time. When you're about to tackle something new, stepping out of your comfort zone, hey, you may fail, but that's okay. What do you do with that shit? Fucking woes me, I suck at this. Bad attitude. Why don't you shift that around and okay, put this shit in my toolbox. What the fuck do I do with this now? How do I tackle this next time I do it? What am I going to do differently?
So one of the tools that's helpful for me is whenever I get down about something or whenever something doesn't go my way, I give myself a finite time to be a victim. Finite time. Okay, you got 5 minutes. You got 10 minutes. And I'll beat the shit out of myself in that 10 minutes. It's amazing how much damage I can do in 10 minutes. And when 10 minutes is up, all right, it's time to turn it around.
Start to grind.
Yep, it's time to get going because it isn't staying here is not going to do me anything.
Right.
One question I used to ask myself all the time, and that's how I got through a lot of it, is think about what it could have been. Right? What happened to you? If you weren't sitting in that seat, think of how it could have been. You might not have been here now.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm certainly glad that you're here.
Oh, absolutely. And you got a great story to tell, and you're going to help a lot of people, and I'm sure you're helping a lot of people as it is anyway. But
I appreciate your time, gentlemen.
I told you in the very beginning, I'm not worthy. I'm definitely not worthy now. Absolutely not.
If there's anything we learn is to be an Eagles fan.
Go Eagles, baby. Fly, Eagles, fly.
Thank you so much for joining us
And the
today,
other thing
Earl.
we learned is stay off of Broad Street when the Eagles win.
Oh, yeah. Stay out of Philly. Stay out of Pennsylvania.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us today. It's been wonderful. It's been amazing, and I can't wait to see what you're going to do in the future.
Thank you, gentlemen. Check me out, earlgranville.org.
earlgranville.org. We'll put links to all your media, all your social media, all your stuff on our website. or on our show notes here. And that's going to do it for this episode of the Suffering Podcast, The Suffering of a Warrior with Earl Granville. And as always, let's think about all the stuff that we learned today. What are you leaving on the table? If a 50 caliber jams, have a cannon in reserve. Passion makes this country great. Playing the victim will get you nowhere. What's next and what's your legacy? But most importantly, purpose, passion, part of something bigger than yourself. And that's going to do it for this episode. Follow us on all social media, TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. Follow Mike at Mike_Failace. Follow me at Real Kevin Donaldson. And of course, follow the Suffering Podcast. Don't forget, you can always listen before you watch. All of our audio episodes come out on Sunday. And that's going to do it for this episode. We'll see you next time.